Captain's log.
Captain's log, yeah. That's what, we have this running joke because we're taking so much video that it's all of our captain's log and how things are going.
Yeah.
Okay, scoot it.
Well, I can't.
Sorry, I'm trying to stretch so I can
I
fit
didn't know
better.
we needed to be doing yoga before.
I feel like it's focusing right here on me.
Welcome! So what we're going to do today is we're going to answer some questions on what it's like to be the second generation. The first question is what do people perceive it's like to be the next generation of a family business, and what is it actually like? Shanna, you want to go?
Well, I think it can be perceived as almost easy. That it's something that it's just given to you. You don't necessarily have to work for it. You just kind of come in, they're like, oh, here's a spot for you. It's kind of all laid out for you. Or like the business, you don't actually have to work to build the business because it was already built. But in reality, it's not that. And you also have to go against that, what people are thinking that it was just given to you. Do you guys have any more thoughts?
What do you think?
Just the expectation of other people, I don't know.
What does the expectation feel like to you?
It's just sometimes it's higher than what if you're just a normal employee going and working. People are looking at you more and, you know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when people perceive that you're in an established business, they often think that you make more money, that you don't have as much pressure to perform, and that because you know that you're going to be in the business, everything else just falls into place. Where the reality is I know we as our second generation, we don't make any more money. The path, though we know that we're going to be here, can actually be somewhat daunting because we know that there isn't flexibility in that. It's interesting because what people perceive it's like to work and be in the next generation of a family business versus what it is. From our perspective, it seems like people perceive it that it's easier, but we feel like there is more that's packed within that, with expectations, with the pressure of knowing that this is what you're doing for your career. And so that it feels a little bit more complicated than what I think people give it credit to be.
It's not just like you have your work life and then your home life. With this, it's like our work life is our home life and they're together. So you can't necessarily go home and escape from work. You were saying like, we're having a rough time right now. You can't necessarily go home being like, take a break, but it's like you go home and you still have it. That's
let's talk
a definite thing.
Should we talk about our stepchild or
disabled sibling?
disabled sibling?
Okay, so we've had this saying that the business is as real to us as a real person, except it's more of like we have a sibling that we need to constantly be helping. So when the business is in need, all of us are there with the business. Even when the business is not in need, we are all still helping it. The business takes up as much conversation, if not more, than a real person. And we feel obligated to the business like a real person.
Definitely.
And we feel protective towards the business like a real person. And so when people don't like our sibling, it kind of makes us sad. But when people like our sibling, then it makes it like we feel it more.
Yeah.
But it's true, the sibling lives with all of us.
Yeah. So it's definitely a big difference that people don't see.
I actually have a fourth. You're not the youngest sibling.
No. It was born around my time. So
you got
it's
a twin. It's interesting, me and Andrew will often have conversations, and right now, so October, November are our most stressful months of the entire year for the whole company. And so we are sitting in the truck and it's like he's going through all the stuff that he's having stress at work about, and it's like he has to physically change hats. He's like, okay, I'm saying this as your husband, I'm really struggling with this at work, and this is really frustrating with me at work, and this is causing me a lot of stress. And I have to take off my COO hat and say, okay, I am just listening to you, because I go into instant problem solving, like, well, what's the cause of this? How do we dig deeper? What do we solve this? What KPIs do we need to be tracking? Who's responsible for that? How do we hold them accountable? And he's like, no. I'm just talking to you as your husband. And so it's interesting because our work and our home is so entwined. We have to like constantly be saying, okay, here's this hat, because it blends so close.
Yeah. Well, and it also going on top of that is you get, when it's like you have critique or you're working on something and you bring it to someone in your family. And so like the COO or like my dad or mom, where it's the CFO or the CEO, and they're like, well, I don't like this. You need to fix it because it's not what we need. It's not my family member telling me this isn't working. It's that position telling me that it's working, so that's not working. So you have to create those lines saying it's not personal, it's work, but so you have to be able to create those lines better.
Distinctions, yeah. Okay. So what is the scariest part of being the next generation?
Failing. That's mine. I mean, I don't have a lot of influence like you guys do within the company. And so it's like, there's a lot of unknown to me sometimes. And so sometimes I feel like, oh, am I even going to be able to give what I need to give? And that's scary to me.
What about you, Shanna?
I guess it's kind of along those lines, is that I don't know enough, because it's like it's being built. It was built before you, and then you're coming in, you're like, okay, I've grown up with it. I know a lot of the business. I know it kind of in and out, but I don't know a lot of those fine details that could be crucial. Or it's just we're different people too. It's like us coming in, we're not our parents. Yeah. And so we'll treat the company differently or take it in different places, and it's like, is that the right place to go because they were doing it differently? It's like you don't know because you haven't done it before, and it's definitely that unknown.
Yeah.
So
for me, what's scary is I know if it fails, it's me. Because it's either I wasn't able to pivot as fast enough, I wasn't watching the finances fast enough, I wasn't able to build the right team. I mean, Dad had it for the past 25 years, and it's been successful. So if it fails in 7 years, that's me. And it's like, and it's interesting because so much of our families rely on the business that I feel more pressure. When our parents were starting it, it was just their individual family. Where now that I'm taking it over, I have our 3 individual families relying on it, as well as all of our team members' families. And so we have a lot more team members now than what we did when Mom and Dad were first starting it. And so I do feel that pressure of, holy cow, I'm now saddling this huge backpack on me that a lot of people are relying on me to carry it correctly. And that's scary. I also think it's scary that, and we were having a conversation yesterday, Shannon and I, on as the business continues to grow and our families continue to grow, will that change our dynamic? And some people say that it will. Some people say that when the more money the business makes, the more it changes the relationships, because you start focusing on the money portion and not on the relationships.
Right.
And so that was something that yesterday, it's like, that is so scary to me, that how do we build it into what we're doing, that is not any part of our focus, that our focus is the relationships first.
But I think we do have a really strong family relationship.
Yeah, like abnormally, like that does as much as we do.
If we see a change, we will notice, and we will fix it, because we are like immediate family. My child you guys are my child's moms as well. So it's like, if something starts to happen, we will notice, and I think we will.
Well, we don't necessarily go like beat around the bush. We're not like
check your tolerance.
It's not like, oh, they're feeling hurt right now, I'm gonna leave them alone, or it's like, or I'm offended by something, so I'm not gonna say it. It's like, well, this hurt me, so I'm going to let you know.
And
or
we'll
it's
address
like,
it.
yeah, or if we're seeing someone else's feelings are hurt, we then being like, okay, I need to check myself.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily what am I getting or what am I doing. It's not all about it's more about we.
Yeah.
And that's a big piece, I know, that is very different from how we think or do things.
Yeah.
Because it's not what am I getting and what are you getting. It's what are we getting, and we all will get different things at different times.
Yeah.
Correct.
And they may not be equal, but they'll be necessary for each of us.
Yeah, I think that's what we were comparing is we, though traditionally now we would be extended family, our families still function like an independent family, or not independent, an immediate family.
Yeah.
Because we still are interacting the same as probably what we were, even not more, because we literally work with each other, where when we went to school we were separated.
So separate, yeah.
And everything that we do is still with the core family at its center.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating now having more kids.
They're like siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like step siblings.
Yeah, like
where it's like you do a lot together, but you don't necessarily go to the same home.
Yeah.
And so, or it's like you have, like, aunt-wise, for me, it's like I can still parent a little bit to my nieces and nephews because I am there that often, and we all kind of know how people parent.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm stepping in and I haven't really seen how you guys parent, but it's like, oh, I know what rules you guys have or what things you want to go forward, so I can help enforce those.
Yeah.
And it's more helpful.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
I agree with that. Okay, what are the best parts of being the next generation in a family business?
The potential of.
I thought you were going to say the potatoes.
The potatoes.
yeah, it is exciting though. Like thinking, okay, what could things be?
Yeah.
The potential and I don't know. I've always enjoyed like the excitement that we give to people when we do things, and that's always fun for me.
I like working together.
I was gonna say that.
I do like working together.
And it's funny because it's like people say, oh, I get to work with I have really great friends that are coworkers and I do a lot with them. And it's like, yeah, my coworkers are my best friends because they're my sisters too. And
who has that? I mean, we're sisters, best friends, and coworkers. It's like trying to get your best friend to enroll in all of your same classes in high school, so that you can sit by each other.
And then still going home and living with them.
Yes. Like, it's just like a whole bunch of things packed into one, and it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Good thing we like each other.
Yeah, that'd be hard if we didn't.
We probably wouldn't be in this situation if we didn't like each other.
Best parts, and I do like thinking about, okay, what does this mean for our kids? How can we impact like the third generation now with this? For us, when we were growing up, my mom would always take the business and incorporate it into our schooling. So it's like we would make stickers because they had all of the abilities to make stickers, and we would go in and the class would sell them. Or we would do a whole bunch of craft things because we always had the supplies here. Or our classes would do field trips to where we did things and we were able to explain it. So it's like because our parents were in the business and passionate about it, it became a part of our education. And I'm really excited to do that for ours. I hope they become little entrepreneurs. I actually have a pin board on kids' businesses that we can start. I'm not even lying, I do.
That's awesome. You better share that with me, please.
Okay, next question. Let's see. What are the hardest parts?
I guess I know I talked on this a little bit earlier, but it's like when you're having a hard time with the business or the business is going through a rough patch, and all businesses do that. It's not like one business goes through it, but every business has that cycle. But when the business has a rough patch or a downtime, it feeds into your life, and
it's everywhere.
You can't separate from it. And I think that can be really hard to say, okay, this is work, and now I have to go home and be happy or be more positive and not let that bleed into your life because they are so entwined.
Yeah.
It's hard to separate them, and especially when it's having a down, like it's in a low point, it's
Which
even harder.
we've experienced in the last couple years because the retail industry has changed. So I think it's been a good thing for us to feel the stress from the business not doing well, because it's almost teaching us what to do, because we're on an incline, because all of our partners are having huge successes with their business, and so then it's on ours. Like right now we're having the opposite problem. There's so much work, we don't know what to do. But if we wouldn't have experienced a period where we were feeling stressed as soon as our parents leave, I don't know if we would have known how to talk about it or how to deal with the stress, because all of us feel the burden.
Definitely.
And so it's almost like taking off our training wheels a little bit before we had the whole pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it can be very overwhelming.
Well, and it's also when the business is failing, you feel like you're failing.
Yeah,
like
because you're like, this is
failed.
our responsibility.
Yeah, like you failed the business, or that you're the reason why it's failing, even though it may not be.
It feels
like it, yeah.
Yeah, you start second guessing all of your decision making. You're trying to be more positive for your team members because you can't let them feel the stress that you feel inside. Though sometimes it bleeds out, but it's like almost like you have to protect people from the burden that you're feeling, which is hard. I think a hard part, and it could just be, I guess it's a two-edged thing, being part of the family that's in the family business and being a leader, is that when things are going wrong, all the eyes are on you and saying, are you making the right decisions? Are you doing the right things? And it's like you're really scrutinized. And there's a lot of pressure. And in addition, because we're the family, it's like there's even more focus around that.
Yeah. And then I think going on top of that, it's like when it is those hard times, you're like, did you really get put into that position because you're family, or did you get put into it because because you've been in the business? And I think during good times they don't think of that, but during bad times people start questioning it and saying, do you really know what you're doing, and were you just put here because you're in the family?
Yeah.
And because that was easy for you, even though they don't realize the whole process to get there.
But I will say, where our team is now, so if you take a picture from the last year and a half, 2 years, is so much better than what it's been in the past. Before, when people were leaving for probably about 6 years straight, the family was mentioned in every single one of the exit interviews. Either we were taking too much, which we don't take anything else that no one else does, so we just have our wages. And it's either we weren't making the right decisions, or people were promoted into the wrong spot, or there was so much that would go into it that was really defeating. It was really hard to go back. After I would read those, I'd be like, man, what am I doing? But in the last year and a half, 2 years, I don't think we've had the scrutiny to a 10th degree of what we've had in the past, which really speaks a lot for our team. Because our team is at a point to where hopefully they feel like they're a part of the business as much as we do. And we keep trying to do that. It's like we want to adopt certain people into our family. Katie. But it's a lot of fun, because I think if we can help people feel as much of a part of the Rainbow Decorworx family as we do, then moving into the next generation, for us, it's almost like we've got our team, and we're not having to then reassemble once Jeff and Shelly leave. So.
Yeah, and I think throughout the whole company, though, there's like people that we all get along with, and it's like you find when you make friends and people from the family are friendly to others. It's that trust within the company and that passion and the excitement for the company just explodes within them. But if they don't necessarily trust the family, or they have something they dislike, it turns into the whole company.
Yeah,
And it's
correct.
not just the family anymore. And so it's interesting. So when you make friends or you're friendly with people, it makes them happier, but it's also can be hard on our side because it's like people come and go and it's like, well, I'm losing another friend because they're moving on to another position or they're going
Yeah.
somewhere else, and it can be taxing, but the reward is so worth it. It's just hard to keep that in mind sometimes.
Yeah. We were talking that it's like we try to make a concerted effort that we all talk to different groups of people so that hopefully people are connecting to at least one of us. Though it's like lately in the last month, I've been so bad at it. I've been in my, because it's like when we have big projects or big
we're so busy,
pressures,
we don't-
then it's like we tend to really focus on just our job and it's harder to be social, and you can start to feel the difference because we're not out there as much. And so it's like it's almost like we need a trigger and saying, okay, we've been in the project so much, it's better for the company if we are now talking with people. So it's kind of a fun and a hard part. Anything else that you feel like we want to document? What do we want ourselves to look back on in 5 years?
Look back on.
Hopefully, what we can remember is to keep our relationships first.
Yeah.
And that we make an impact on our entire team with how we are with each other and how we are with them. And we are accepting that it's hard, and we're accepting that there's more expectations and scrutiny, and we're okay with that.
Yeah, because we are choosing it.
Yeah.
We do choose it, yeah. I mean, theoretically, we could leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Totally.
thinking about it like earlier. I'm like, well, what if I moved to another country? That would be so much fun. But then it's like, or people ask me, why don't I move away?
Yeah.
Because Cedar isn't the best for a single person. And it's like, I tell everyone that I love my job. I love the people I work with. I love working with my family. And so that kind of overrides the other things in my life. It's like, well, I don't want to leave because even if I wasn't a part of the family, I'd still want to work here. I still want to be a part of it because it's so much fun. The creativity and the problem solving and the challenges that continually happen, it's just something that I thrive off of. And so I think there's that peacekeeping mind that there's a reason why we're staying. Because we could go if we wanted to, we really could, but there's a reason why we stay.
Yeah. Okay. Ta-da!